best week one ever. Not so fast. We're here on Tuesday, and it is the best week because it's really nice that even though he's now a Hall of Famer officially, and we can introduce him as such, as deserved, you didn't big time me. You're not too cool now to come join the Little Up and Adam show. Jared, appreciate you, and good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on. Always a pleasure.
Is it different? Does it feel different now that it's Hall of Fame?
No, nope. Just more requirements of things that interrupt my schedule, basically.
Yeah. Oh no, that's the worst. You're like, take this jacket back. You're smiling, and I know why, because this game was drunk. This game had a couple cocktails, a couple bourbons or something.
Gosh, I tell you what, this week, I'll be honest, week one, I fell in love with football again. I mean, after the Bills game, I thought that was the greatest game I'd ever seen. And by the end of the third quarter, I was ready to I'm like, well, I'm going to be talking some lot of crap about the Vikings come tomorrow. And then they came back, and that's why we play the game of football. It's moments like that. It's awesome.
I think a lot of people were like, man, other sports don't stand a chance. Like, we try with other things in the offseason, but wow, the NFL is NFLing right now. And Minnesota, of course, it's 21 fourth quarter points. JJ, first career start. When you're watching let's start with the first three quarters. Are you giving up hope? How are you feeling in those first three quarters? And what's going through your mind?
Everybody was asking me, how do you think they're going to do? And I'm like, dude, historically, we do not play well in Chicago. Brett didn't even win in Chicago when we were there, when he was with us in 2009. We lost in overtime that year. I don't think we won one game in Chicago, my 6 years in Minnesota. So it doesn't really matter what the team structures are. The Vikings in Chicago have never been historically great, at least in recent years. So that was an insanely challenging task for McCarthy to step into in the first place. And then for it to go the way it did for three quarters, you're like, oh my gosh, this might be too big for the kid. And then for him to come back the way he did really shows why everybody was excited for him in Minnesota. It really showed, the type of character it takes to go out and be a winner. And that was what he was about, right? Wins in high school, wins in college, you got to bring it on and win in the NFL. And he showed that type of character, that type of moxie, that type of resilient, kind of spirit to go out and get it done.
From a football perspective, from a Hall of Fame perspective, what the hell happened in the fourth quarter?
You know what? I think he settled down. I mean, you're getting your butt kicked. At some point, there's two types of people in this world. People that get slapped and they duck and they just don't fight back, and they sit there and like, okay, let me wait till the beating's done. They're going to play dead. And there's people with backs against the wall that fight back. And I think that's what happened. I think they looked at it like, we can't play any worse. So let it go. Let's go start punching back and see where we end up. And you saw what happened. They started punching back. They started running the ball. The trenches got involved up front defensively, started making stops. They started putting the Bears behind the chains. And it was a totally different team. And it was great to see. I mean, from a coaching standpoint that you're going to get consistency, right? With McCarthy and Flores, with O'Connell and Flores. I mean, you're going to get the same coaching staff. They're going to call the game the way they're going to call the game. And I think the players just, stepped up and decided to say, hey, all right, we've taken enough beatings. Let's go give a few ourselves.
I mean, rookies, I haven't done the math on this. Rookies, it's hard to win your first game. Caleb won his first game last year, but if you look at like the Strouds, you lose your first game, it's tough to win and overcome. And then this sort of a thing, like what it takes to like dig deep and do that is sort of one thing. What does it say about him? Like, what's the most impressive part of his performance outside of like that grit, that resilience, being able to get up off the mat?
I think that's what it says about him. Honestly, I think what you saw is what you got. And I think it shows the type of character he has, the type of man he is. I mean, again, Sam Darnold had a fantastic year for us last year, but in that last game against the Lions, when they hit the crap out of him, you're like, oh man, this dude looks a little shook, right? There was times where, and look what the Rams did in the playoff game. They took that same model. Let's put pressure on him, push pressure on him. And his eyes are going to come off the receivers, are going to come down to the rush. And, McCarthy looked the opposite of that, to be honest with you. I mean, that dude was just getting beat down. He throws a pick six, and then he wants to go and tell his lineman, like, trust me, and I'll be honest. If a rookie quarterback throws a pick six, then he tries to come over and talk to me about, hey, give me the ball back. I got your back. I'm like, sit your ass down. We're going to do it ourselves over here, So it just shows the kind of character he has, the kind of leadership he has, and then ultimately the trust that his teammates have in him to go out and respond like that.
Right.
You look at Justin
Why
Jefferson.
does that work? Jared. I was thinking this morning. I'm talking, and it's like Javon Hargrave is 32 years old. You're going up to him and saying like, "We're gonna be okay." Like, get out. Like,
That's
you look like crap for 3 quarters, kid. Like, get the f out of here. And that what is it about him?
it's
Why does
something
that
they said to them in
work?
camp. So like that's what I love about the NFL sports in general. Right? You can't be a fraud in an NFL locker room, right? When you got 53 alpha males, fraudulent people get, flung to the wayside. And so clearly they know something about that kid being there a year. Obviously, they know something about him through training camp.
Mm-hmm.
They know who he is as a man, as a person, and they trust him. And so you saw the team rally around him. Like I said, you see Justin Jefferson over there smiling, laughing, hugging him up. And, he really didn't, JJ didn't get him involved until into the fourth quarter, really. You know what I mean? It was pretty quiet for everybody in the first 3 quarters. And so, when you got one of your mega superstars still smiling and hugging your quarterback, not griping about why aren't you getting me this or like that, it could have imploded, but it just shows the character of the team. It didn't implode. They rallied
Mm-hmm.
behind each other. They rallied behind the young kid and they came back. And then defensively, I think they basically just said we got to keep giving the opportunities. It's gonna, they're gonna crack at some point, and they did. And so, defensively it was a totally different game in the fourth quarter, as it was offensively.
Tell me more about that, because Brian Flores did seem to like turn the heat up on the stove a little bit. How much credit does he deserve in this win?
Well, a ton, because I mean, again, you're sitting back there, and then again, Caleb made some great plays, right? There was about 3 times where we had him sacked deep, and he escapes and makes great plays with his legs and makes some great throws. But at some point, if you're saying, okay, if we're sitting back and covering isn't working, getting extra time, we got to heat him up. We got to get this guy off rhythm. And I think, Coach Flores did a great job of understanding the situation in the game. Again, understanding, well, the chips are down. We don't really have a whole lot to lose. Let's start, let's start firing bullets over here. And the rush really wasn't that hot to begin with, to be honest with you. And so all of a sudden you start adding pressures, and next thing you know, you start creating some different one-on-one opportunities for some of your top guys. And all of a sudden the pressure gets up. You get Hargrave with a couple sacks. Really the interior pressure is what changed. And so, I think by creating some more blitz opportunities, he created some more one-on-ones for that, were obviously advantageous for the Vikings guys.
I feel like I'm taking a victory lap for like no reason this morning, just because I just met him for like, I'm not joking, like 7 minutes. And I was like, sold, love him. Like, I would play for him. I'm Javon Hargrave. Like, I'll go get sacks for you. Like, he just has this charisma, this thing. And then he goes after there to be able to pull that up. Who does he remind you of, JJ? Who does he remind you of? Past, present, quarterback you played with, against, not with at all?
Man. I think he's too young
giving
to compare.
Tom Brady.
He's too young. He's too young to compare, right? I think that's where you do people disservice. The media, I know that's your job. That is your job, is to compare these young kids to the greats already. I'm not gonna do that. But you know what? I think who JJ was last night was the JJ that people fell in love with through his college career, right? He doesn't need to be flashy. He doesn't need to be a guy that's going to throw the ball for 500 yards, 400 yards, or whatever, right? I mean, I said it to a bunch of people yesterday. I'm like, if we run the ball 30 times against the Bears, we win, right? And so I think you saw exactly what we needed to do. We needed to control the line of scrimmage. You need to run the ball, let him play action down the field. And he was really, really good at that. And then he used his legs when he needed to. So, again, I don't really have an answer to that about who reminds me of. He reminded me of the kid I watched in the national championship game. That's what I saw come out in that fourth quarter. And so for me, I think everybody needs to be uniquely themselves and just go out and play his style of game and let the chips fall at the end of your career where they are. They'll compare you to whoever they're going to compare you to.
It's beautifully said. Amen to that. I wanted to ask you about, or here's what I really want to know, because they didn't even have Jordan Addison. Jordan Addison's a baller. He's a playmaker. Like, he'll come back and so then it becomes a question of like, what is stopping them? And I think that was my off season. People were surprised that I am in on the Vikings, because they are a complete team. They just need the dude that's going to win the big game in that one quarter, not to mention his like 63-1 or whatever it is, 64-3 record he's had. Like, he's a winner. He's going to win in those big games. 100%. I'm not concerned with that. So what are you concerned with? If you were to keep your eye on one thing where you're like, let's watch this.
Injuries. That's the big thing every year, is injuries. Can we stay healthy? Right. Harrison Smith wasn't out there. Like you said, Jordan Addison, out there for other reasons. But you bring in Adam Thielen, that just shows the the culture of the Vikings as an organization too, right? To go out and get a veteran like Adam Thielen, who still has a lot to offer, not just on the field, but what he can do for a young quarterback, in that offense, and being able to play a role, and Adam to come back where he's had so much success and be able to play more of a subdued role, so to speak, to Justin, and Addison comes back and you got, TJ and all those guys. So, but to me, I thought what really sold me on the Vikings was this offseason. Everybody wants to go out and make splashes in free agency, and they want to do all these, bring in these very, high value targets, so to speak. And they went out and got trenches. They got trenches in the draft. They went out, like you said, you got Hargrave, you got Jonathan Allen. We picked up, interior O linemen, things like that. We drafted well for some depth. So that to me, made me realize, okay, these guys, we're in it. We're in it because they understood where their weakness was at, but not only that, they understood where we needed depth. But the only thing that really concerns me is staying healthy. Right. And then, you can't have too many games like this because the emotional highs and lows will drain you. Defense was a physical game, obviously. So you'd like to see, the offense control the ball more, keep the defense off the field, things like that, especially when you get later into November and December. But right now, I think if they stay healthy, it's going to be a tough team to beat.
I was going to ask what the effect of this is, in even just considering your own career with these, this kind of a win. It's rare. We don't see it very often. It's a classic. It's a one for the ages. Is this the kind of thing that causes momentum, sets the tone? Do you believe in that? Let's just cut the shit on
absolutely.
that. Or is it, in a vacuum? We never remember week one of any, we really don't, right?
It's I think everybody's gonna remember this week one. I mean, from the Bills comeback to this game, I mean, those were two insanely great primetime games, one on the road, one at home, obviously, right? But no, absolutely. The more games you have like this, you draw on those in those moments, right? So I always say winning and losing are habit forming, right? There's winning habits and losing habits. And unfortunately for teams that win those, those close one score games, they've been in those moments and they have the confidence that they're going to fight to the very, very end. And they know that they're going to have a chance to pull through. And then you got the teams that don't. I always refer back to the 0-16 Lions. That was one of the hardest teams we ever played. We were all terrified to play that team because nobody wanted to be the one that they beat. But what happened was you would get them down and they seemed to then just realize well, we're supposed to lose this. We've been losing all these other ones, and it would kind of snowball. You'd be neck and neck, and then one play would happen and one team would we would elevate and they would shut down. I mean, we had a couple close games with them that year. But so I think winning and losing habits are equally developed. And so when the more games you win in these tight situations, especially with a young quarterback, you're going to just breed confidence among that team. And confidence goes a long way in this league. Momentum is a real thing. And when you have a belief that you can win no matter what, I mean, it really changes the whole dynamic of the team and the energy you bring to Sunday.
Speaking of losing habits, let's go to the Chicago Bears side of things.
Oh, there you go. Right there.
You just said, you when you brought up and hearkened those 0-16 line, I was thinking they don't know that they can win. They don't know how to win. I don't want to say they're not winners. I don't know. They look so great. They have this collapse. What's your takeaway from Chicago? Did something surprise you? Same old Bears? What was the vibe?
No, to be honest, man, I thought they looked really, really good. I think, to be honest, I think a few things changed, right? You get they got put behind. There was I can't remember what it was the missed field goal, right? I believe. Was there a missed field goal last night? If I'm right. Yes. Right. So there was the missed field goal that put the Vikings back in relatively good position, and they go down and they score, right? And then they get a 3-and-out. So all of a sudden now, they have two bad experiences that compound, and you saw the confidence wane, right? All of a sudden now Caleb Williams seems to be like he's holding the ball a little longer. I still think he needs to get the ball out of his hand, way sooner than he has been. I think that's one of his biggest challenges. I know they put the clock on the game one time and they're like, oh, he's getting the ball out so much quicker. It was like one of them was like 3 seconds. And I'm like, well, that's still about a half second too long to be holding it. Right. So I think, I think you rely on your experiences. People draw on experiences, and Caleb Williams and a lot of those guys from last year still have negative experiences. Chicago Bears as a whole have negative experiences when it comes to winning those tough games. And I think that's going to be something that, the new coaching staff and Kevin Warren as the president, that's a culture that they have to change. And you can only change that through winning and bringing in guys that know how to win, right? You got to bring in guys that have been there, have done that. You got to, whether you got to have Lovie Smith come talk to the team and say, "Hey guys, this used to be a winning culture here," you got to do something to remind those guys that you can win, and that Chicago is a place that should be feared to come play in, and that is a storied franchise, and that those hard-nosed games. That's what the North is about, and you're going to be in them, and so you better learn to win them.
They have to win. They don't know how to win. They collapse. I don't know how to do it.
They're young. They're young too, right? And so you got a whole bunch of young, very talented guys. And what happened is you saw the difference in the trenches. You saw an O-line and D-line take over the game for one team, and you saw one that was very dominant early in the game either wear down, get right, but it comes down to the fundamentals of stopping the run, right? And I think that was a big shift. Minnesota, all of a sudden, like I said, Caleb was behind the chains. Now you can dial up blitzes knowing they're passing. Now you can force them into different throws based on coverage. And Minnesota all of a sudden just picking up 5, 6, 7. I think at one point they said they were averaging close to 10 yards a run in the fourth quarter. So, that right there, that's debilitating. So if you can't control the line of scrimmage, you got no hope. And so I think that was the big shift. And so I don't know what the Bears did or put into their O-line, over the offseason over the offseason or D-line, but that to me is where it would start. And again, I go back to my earlier comment. That's when I knew the Vikings weren't screwing around this year. When they said, we're not going after flash, we're going into the trenches. Because that's what cost us. We are going to go into the trenches, and that's where we're going to, really stabilize our organization.
Yeah, and they picked that over future Hall of Famer and Aaron Rodgers, who does look better, right? They said that was a potential to bring him in and have him steward this offense. They clearly saw something in JJ, felt confident this is a team that's in their Super Bowl window. When I asked you what might stop them, I thought you might say the NFC North. I thought you might say Micah Parsons. And this defense, it's no joke. It's no joke. I need your thoughts on this NFC North. It might run through Green Bay this year. They shut down Detroit. Okay.
The North is brutal.
Micah had 29 snaps, bro. This is crazy.
The North is brutal. The North is absolute brutal. You are not lying about that. I think this division, the Bears, clearly, even though they lost, clearly a better team than they were last year. Detroit might be the one that bubble got burst on. You know what I mean? I look at what Detroit didn't do in the run game. More than what obviously that was from the Packers. I think the people that are going to benefit from Micah Parsons' trade the most is, I think number 52, Gary, and some of their interior guys. You have incredible matchups now. Micah's going to get the attention, but now you got these crazy matchups, and they got a running back in Josh Jacobs. So again, it'll come down to, it's a war of attrition. But yeah, I think Green Bay, sent a message. And to be honest, if I'm Green Bay, you handled your business, pretty, I don't want to say easily because it's the NFL, but they definitely weren't stressing. But I look at that Minnesota game and I think, oh crap, these dudes were down and out, and all of a sudden they came back, and they have the ability to score points in high, we have the ability to score a lot of points quickly, right? You saw that happen. So, The North is going to be brutal. It was brutal last year. 14 wins didn't even win us the North last year.
Can't let you. I know it's morning time, but we can't let you waffle. We can't let you waffle around here. Who do you like?
I know. I'll never go.
Who's the team to beat in the division?
Minnesota, clearly.
Your points are valid. Like to be able to put up points the way that we saw in the fourth quarter, even without Jordan Addison in his first game. If we're talking about Rustin not playing in the preseason, he's only going to get better and more confident. So that is a thing. Yeah, and Aaron Jones crazily might be the factor, and you guys gave him.
I know I'm crazy biased, but Aaron Jones willingly coming back to this team, right, in a role that he's in right now, knowing that they got another running back, right, a bigger body running back is probably going to carry the load more. That says something. He sees something in what his role is going to be in his ability, and I think Aaron played insanely well yesterday. But I go back to this though, by choosing Minnesota over Green Bay. We have a ton of tape on Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers. There's not a lot of tape on JJ McCarthy right now. Right. So in preparation, you're going to do things like that. Sometimes it's harder to prepare for the so-called backup when you're going into a game because you don't know what he's capable of. That's why you'll see guys, take a guy like Nick Foles, greatest backup quarterback to ever play the game. When he's a starter, not so well because you have time to prepare. But you look at what JJ McCarthy did, okay, they thought they had a formula how to stop the kid in the first 3 quarters. And then whether it was adjustments from O'Connell or just JJ outwilling the bad play and bringing himself back to the caliber of guy, person that we thought he was going to be, the player we thought he was going to be. That's tough. Like, so how do you scheme that? Right? How do you scheme for will and determination? So, there's a lot of things that show what's been effective against the Packers in the past. And right now, I would say the book's still open on JJ and how to really shut down that offense.
It's so true. And like the whole scheming thing, but then this Packers defense does look like no joke. I don't know that it was a fluke.
Oh yeah. I mean, listen, you got to block people. You definitely got to block people.
Jameer Gibbs doing nothing, getting nothing done barely is like, that was probably one of my bigger shocks of this incredible week 1. We're here with Hall of Famer Jared Allen, and we're on a TV break right now, but I still have more questions for you. We got to get to some of these. Oh, I wanted to ask you about the Chiefs. Okay. So I was in Brazil for this game, watching the Chargers, incredible win by them. And then now we have these back-to-back like bad tastes in our mouths from the last time we've seen this Chiefs time. They've given up 67 combined points. They've given up 739 total yards, Jared. They're arguing with each other on the field. What do we need to happen here? How do we fix this Spags defense? Like, what's happening here? They got the Eagles honestly, this week.
And Eagles look good. The Eagles look real good. You want to know that's the problem with Minnesota. You got to go through the Philly, right? This NFC, the whole NFL, that train still goes through Philly, and Philly does not look like they're slowing down. I'll be really honest. That's a good looking squad. But I think the thing with the Chiefs is, again, I mean, there's a recipe for success. I'm a big MMA and fight fan, right? And I'll never forget when Rich Franklin knocked out Chuck Liddell, right? And then it seemed like nobody was afraid of Chuck Liddell in the UFC anymore, even though Chuck was is probably the greatest fighters of all time in the UFC, right? But what happens is when people see you splinter, right, or you get splintered, when people see like, oh crap, like, the beating the Eagles put on the Chiefs wasn't like, man, that was they beat them in the biggest game possible, right? And so they lay a foundation of how people are going to attack them. And so unless the Chiefs are willing to go and do a deep self scout and say, okay, we got some aging players here, we need to retool here, we need to scheme wise do some things here. I think you're going to see this because people aren't afraid of them anymore. And that's a big thing, now granted, they've still been to 10 or something straight AFC championship games.
Are you worried about them? Are you out on them?
I am. You know what? I was actually worried. I was like, I watched that game too, for the most part, bits and pieces of it, but Travis Kelce really didn't get involved until like the fourth quarter. What happened to throwing to your tight end? I mean, you have one of the greatest tight ends to ever play the game. Why are we not giving him the ball? Why are we trying to spread it to these young wide receivers? What happened to the run game? You got a 1-2 run punch. I mean, I think that's the other thing too is
Patrick led the team in rushing. It was insane. Yeah,
you have such an insanely good quarterback, but don't forget, what made him that good. You still got to, I think that's one thing why Tom Brady, is arguably considered the greatest to ever play at that position, is because dude, he never really left outside the system. You know what I mean? I mean, that dude, they ran the ball. He wasn't afraid of I can remember multiple games and like the Super Bowl where, it's 3-0, 6-0, 10-0, and then all of a sudden they might open something up. But it was like, hey, we're going to keep running the ball. We are going to keep running the ball. We're going to throw to Gronk. We're going to throw to my pieces. So, I think if the Chiefs get back to being, controlling the line of scrimmage, controlling the down and distance, really get, the tight ends involved back in the game, I think it'll open up a lot more. I just over the last couple of years, I feel like they've really spread the ball. And that's great for everybody. But I mean, come on, if I got one of the best tight ends to ever play, I'm feeding him the ball. I'm going to run the ball to get, just to take a little stress off Mahomes. Then I'm going to let Mahomes do what Mahomes does, so.
We actually we have Delaney Walker on the show. I'm sure he'll be talking about that. I want to ask you just a couple more. We have, first of all, I have a couple. Why are you watching football so much? What's going on with you?
No, I just happened to be the right time. Like there was 2 night games, right?
I call BS. I call BS. You've got notes, you've got numbers. What's happening here? Are we doing a TV career? Are we doing coaching? What's happening? No, I turned down a TV career. I do. Me and my buddy Fred Minnick are doing a podcast. We're actually going to record our first podcast today. But it's really loosely football-ish. What is it? Tell me everything.
Fourth and neat. We're going to talk football a little bit. We're talking bourbon, and we're going to go down the rabbit hole on some weird stuff.
I knew it because literally
So if you're
Jared
not, if
Allen has
you're
a. First of all, here's the clues. I'm no
the
I'm no
microphone,
Columbo.
it's the
You have a freaking
microphone.
microphone all of a sudden. You're also. I see that you have notes. You've got like rankings and shit on your thing. Sorry, I just keep swearing.
No, I got no notes.
Don't take
No
cues
notes.
from me. I'm over here
I
getting
got no
kicked
notes.
off
I
by the
promise you. I
FCC.
promise you, no notes. No notes. I just happened to. I literally, and I didn't watch any other games. I happened to watch the Chiefs game because I believe it was.
No,
it was a
you were
Friday night
watching.
game.
You're doing your
Friday
thing.
night game.
I knew it.
I got a still trap memory, and then I did watch the Monday night game and the. I'm a Bills, so if you remember, I grew up a Raiders and Bills fan. So when the Bills were playing Sunday Night Football, I had to go back and watch the Bills.
Likely story. I still think you're going to coach somewhere. That's I was kind of hope. I like the podcast vibe, but I do.
No,
at some point,
I mean, again, coaching, I guess
I
I love
know.
teaching. I love teaching players how to play. I have no business being in the office from 6 to midnight. Like I'm not doing it. My kids, well, they say they love seeing me this still. So, I'm
Kevin
down the
O'Connell's
girls. I am
unconventional.
all in on girls volleyball right now. So I'm like the best assistant, random assistant girls volleyball coach you can.
And we love hearing
that.
it. I hope nobody on the volleyball team is spitting on each other. That's what happened. That's my last question for you. This JALEN thing. Did you see this?
Yeah, honestly, there's a chance I might suspend. I think spitting on somebody is the most disrespectful thing you could possibly do. There's no place for it. The fact that Dak Prescott had the composure he did, because we're fighting. You spit in my face, like we have to fight. That's just all there is to it. So I don't know what's going on with these kids where they think they can just disrespect the game and the people. Like, to spit on a dude in your face. So I just say two things. You just weren't. I mean, you clearly weren't thinking. Jalen Carter he's a force in the middle of that defense. So it's not like you're afraid of the of the Cowboys. You played long enough. I don't know what the point of that was. I mean, because you really set your team back. As a coach, I don't know how you handle that. I wouldn't handle it well, just because I think that is the absolute most disrespectful thing you could do to somebody.
The decision they're weighing Jared is now. I mean, they ejected him, and now it is a looming suspension. Let's put the league hat on you. What are you doing? What's the punishment?
Oh, the league, I'm suspending him 100%.
Like a game, a
game or two. But I mean, you got to remember, if that happens in the parking lot, that's full on assault. Like you're getting arrested for that. I mean, you can't spit on people. It's just, I don't know. Just throwing bodily fluids at people is just gross. Like, enough.
Enough is right.
I mean, you want to punch the guy in the throat, do that. Better than spitting on him. You know what I mean? I don't like, seriously, spitting on somebody.
You just lost me. I was like, wow, Jared, I'm like listening to wow, you should have punched him in the throat. I'm just
saying that I would be like, okay, wow, they had an argument and he lost his cool and he got aggressive with him. I think you could explain that away more, is what I'm saying. But to spit on somebody, to hawk a loogie, that was a massive loogie too.
Ew. I can't even watch it, but I can't. I guess I'm not a boy enough college, to understand.
I'm like, what is this? Is this like a TikTok trend? Now you spit in people's faces? That's what we're doing? Get the hell out of here.
No, it's not. Jared Allen, I can't wait to hear Fourth and Neat. That is an incredible show name, by the way. Congratulations to you, Hall of Famer. Appreciate your time, your perspective, and congratulations to your Vikings.
Oh, thanks a lot. Have a great one. Thanks for having me on.
You're the best. Talk to you soon. He's got a microphone. Who is he? Jared Allen now.